Hello, this is Erin Halvorsen with Rag Rugs by Erin. This is the updated version of the Appalachian Heirloom rug, and what I've done differently with this, I'm still going to include the same two clips, two videos that shows how to make the rug itself, but I added this border which helps it lay flat. All it is a single crochet. It really changes the look of it, and it makes it much nicer and lay much nicer. And Sally Barons gave me this suggestion, and thank you so much, Sally, because it really is wonderful. So this is what it's going to look like. You're going to watch the regular video. If you've already seen that, that's fine. But at the end, if you don't know how to add the single crochet to it, I do show you how to do that. So watch at the end how to add a single crochet. So thanks for coming. Bye-bye. Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen, and thank you for joining me for Rag Rugs by Erin again. If this is your first time, thank you for joining me, and if you're a return viewer, thank you as well. We're going to be talking today on Learn the Heirloom Stitch of Vintage Rag Rug Making. This is a little different type of rug than what I've made in the past. It's something I wanted to share with you. This is the rug that we'll be making. Mr. Cameraman, if you could get a close-up view, you could see that it looks a little different. The stitch on this is a little different. And this is also a denser and thicker rug because the stitches are kind of on top of each other. So it's a very simple stitch, but I wanted to show you so you'd have another technique. This is the standard stitch that I do in most of my rugs. This would be a single crochet in a different pattern, and you can see how this looks just a little different than the other. Now, I don't necessarily prefer one to the other, but it is a different. This is a denser rug then as well. Okay, I want to show you something. If you notice, the corners kind of curve up on this rug just a little bit. It doesn't lay as flat. What I found is this isn't a two-sided rug. This is a one-sided rug in order to make it lay flat. If you see how I just kind of flip it over and do this, how quickly it smooths and how nice, and then the stitch looks a little bit different. So, Mr. Cameraman, if you want to look on this side, now it looks a little different than on the other side. This is really quite a pretty little stitch. And I like it very much. I observed this in the Appalachian area. It's possible that there's other forms of this stitch and making of this rug, but this is the one that I observed. So let's go ahead and jump right in to this, making this rug. First of all, we're going to use a little bit different hook. We're going to use a Q. Normally I use an O on most of my rugs. If you've watched a lot of my videos, you realize that's the one I use. The Q is bigger. I found that the O made the rug too tight, and it was too awkward, and it was difficult to make it around the corners. So we're going to go with a Q. Of course, a good pair of scissors is always important. And one more thing is I use these for stitch markers. And normally we don't have stitch markers, but as you get farther in, these are safety pins. As we get farther into the rug, I felt like it was necessary. Make sure you stay tuned to other parts of this and continue on, because we're fine, Mr. Cameraman. I felt the need to mark my edges, and I want to show you how to do this to make it lay flat and how to work through it so you can finish your rug nicely. So make sure you follow along for that. Also, I'm going to show you several of the corners. I have them made in different levels here, so I can quickly switch over and not prolong the video too long so we can move along at a rapid pace. So let's go ahead and get started. I also have been using this a little bit more. I picked this up somewhere along the line. Someone said that they use a bowl, and I think it was someone else on YouTube, Nani, I think, said that she uses a bowl, but maybe I'm incorrect on that, to keep her sheet yarn from, flying all over the place. So on my other videos, it shows you how to make sheet yarn and no-sew sheet yarn, and feel free to watch that. So we're going to head and get started. When we're going to do a slip stitch, a slip knot, excuse me. So you're going to cross over, pull the long end through, and here is your slip knot. Tighten it up just a little bit. Remember, on most of my other videos, I talk about making sure you leave the long end, leave a long tail, and go ahead and make sure this is no different. It makes it easier. You're going to put your hook in there. You're going to keep the tail in your hand, and we're going to do, this rug requires, for that same size, requires 30 chain stitches. I am not going to do 30 chain stitches because it will take too long. I'm probably only going to do about 15 and then show you how to come back. so here we're going to show, once you've got your hook in the material, you're going to cross over and pull it through. Make sure you stay loose. Cross over and pull it through. Cross over and pull it through. Okay, so another thing that I get asked is, how wide do you make your strips? On this particular, and most of the rugs that I've shown you so far, we use a 1 1/4 to 1 1/2 inch sheet yarn. You can do wider. I think some people do 2 inches. That seems to be a little bit big. Though I do have another rug I'm working on that I am using a 2 inch, and I'll discuss that at that time. So cross over, pull it through. I'm going to move right along quickly here so we can get a few stitches, and I can show you how to come back and move this rug along. This is standard, like the majority of the other rugs that I have featured. So they usually all start with some sort of a chain stitch. Sometimes there's just a few, sometimes there's several. But this one I recommend 30 chain stitches approximately. This one is not an exact one, so you can make it longer if you like a longer rug, or you can make it less if you want a little more stout rug. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and call that enough, even though that isn't 30, because we're going to want to practice these corners, because that's going to be the tricky part for you. So here we've got it, and you finished it with 30 chain stitches. Trick is you flip it, and we're always going to move from right to left. We're not going to go into the hole that we're already in. You see how this is the hole that we're already in? We're going to go into the next hole. This is not quite a single crochet. If someone happens to know the crochet stitch for this, I would love to hear it, but I was not able to figure that out or find that anywhere. So this is just the stitch that requires for this heirloom type of rug. You're going to put your needle or hook into the first hole. You're going to cross over and pull the material through, and then just pull the back one off. It's a very short stitch, very quick stitch. Go into the next hole, cross over with your material, pull it through. Oh, excuse me. Make sure you leave it loose like I am leaving it. There, you've got 2 on there. You just pull the back one off. Let's do this a few more times. Go into the next hole, cross over, pull it through, pull the back one off. Make sure you don't rotate this like that. I've seen people do that when I've been teaching them, and it makes, why is mine all messed up? Keep it flat. Keep it all left flat, okay? Also, if you're a crocheter, make sure you pay attention and that you don't do a single crochet, because you'll notice a bubble as you're going along, because I've done that before. In, cross over, and then pull the back one off. Okay, so here we go. We're starting our first row back. Okay, we're going to switch over to the next one so you can see how I proceeded. In the first corner, see where we finished that, we came around and we started back, and this is where we finished. Okay, so now we've come to the first end that we're actually going to have to go around, and I'm going to show you that technique to get around that corner. We're going to continue on with that same stitch, cross over, pull the back one off. I'm going to speed along here. When we get to this end, we're going to incorporate, we're going to incorporate the tail, which in many of my rugs I try to incorporate the tail. I prefer that look. However, sometimes I feel like I have to just feed it in afterwards. Okay, so we're here at the end hole. You're going to do 4 stitches in this last hole. So go in, same exact stitch, 1. Now, after I do 1 stitch, I'm going to grab the tail with the rest of it and incorporate it like it's the 1. We're going to count it as 1. We've already done 1 stitch in that hole. We're going to go in again, and this is the second stitch. Grab that material, pretending this is 1, though it's actually 2, the tail plus that. Pull this off. That's your second stitch. Make sure you're doing it loose. Again, keep this together. Going to do the third stitch. Go into the hole, grab the material, and pull the back one off. That's 3. We're going to do it one more time, 4. Back in, grab your material, and pull them both off. Okay, so you've now made it through that first corner, and we're going to just proceed, because you have a tail still, and do the same stitch back up. Nothing changes, just the corners sometimes change. It's not in, pull it off until that tail is gone. Into the stitch, pull it off. Okay. So the tail is now, it may pop out at the end and you may have to trim it, but I wouldn't trim it until the very end. So you've come around the first corner. You're going to continue on doing that same little stitch all the way up. When you get to the next corner, I'm trying to show you this. So that was 4 stitches in that first corner. This next corner is going to be just a little different. We're going to be doing 3 stitches in 2 different holes. Okay, so we did that corner where there was 4 stitches right there, and we proceeded all the way down. You're going to do your little heirloom stitch to the end. This is your second corner. Here we're at the corner. There's 2 holes here at this next corner. You're going to do 3 stitches in this corner and 3 stitches in that corner, and then proceed back up. So 3 stitches in each one of these corner stitches. And I'm just going to do it quickly because you know how to do the stitch now. It is a very simple stitch, but this is what it requires to get it around these corners without having it curve up. So that was the first hole. The second hole, we're going to go in 3 times again. Cross over, pull it through, back in that same hole. This is the second time in that same hole, and here is the third time. And then we do exactly what we did on the other one. We proceed up, go find the hole, and just continue to proceed up with a single stitch, making sure you do not add any stitches on the straightaways, only on the corners and on the rounded edges. So one more stitch, and then we'll look at it for a second and flip to the next one and show you how the next corner is just a little bit different. Okay, so you see how that looks now? Look how that looks. Alright, so now you can see. It's almost squared at this moment, but it will change. You'll be able to round it. So the next corner, which would be the third corner. This is what we just finished, right here, that had 3 and 3, and we're now at the next corner. This one is going to have 3 holes with 2 stitches in each one. So this one had a total of 6 stitches, 3 plus 3. This one is also going to have 3 stitches, but they're going to be dispersed between 3 holes. I'm just continuing with the same stitch. Let me see if I'm at that. No, I think I need one more. No, this is the end. Okay, so let's talk about that. One stitch, or 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes. There's 3 holes here. We're going to put 2 stitches in each one of these 3 holes. 2 stitches here, 2 stitches there, and 2 stitches in this one. Let me do that quickly for you. Also, you may want to watch for just a few more minutes. There's 2 stitches in that hole. And you see I'm struggling just a little bit to get this hole. And you may as well. And that's a key to not making it too tight. So 2 stitches in this hole. And that's why I use the Q, and keep a loose hand. And then the third one right here has 2 stitches. You may want to continue to view also. I'm going to show you what I'm working on next. And so you may want to continue or subscribe. And you see how we're now coming back up again into this hole. Alright, so there, that shows you how to get the next one. This one had three holes with 2 stitches, 2 stitches, and 2 stitches, and you're going to proceed back up. Then you kind of have to just kind of go along and add some extra stitches as you come around the corners. It becomes very easy once you get the hang of it. You will not have to put quite as many extra stitches. But let me show you as it gets bigger. I made a second rug because I thought it was really important for you to see this, because this is a little bit different situation than what we've done in the past in keeping them flat. You see how this rug is curving and curling. Do not become discouraged with that, because it will lay flat. See, if I flip it over like I did the other one, see how it lays flat just like the other one did. Okay, so don't be concerned with that. However, I want to show you as it gets bigger, and I started using it before this. What I do is I eyeball it as I go along. And as I go along, I will notice that we need to add stitches. There's a little bit of buckling when we add stitches to this one. So you're going to, I'm looking at this, I know I need to add stitches. This is a little bit flatter in this area or not as full, so I'm going to put, this is going to indicate to me when I get there, I need to add a stitch. Well, then I try to balance it out. I look somewhere across and say, where is there another place that maybe would be a good place? This is probably the place that is almost even across. However, it has already had a stitch add there. I don't want to add another one, so I'm going to add it down there. Then I know I'm going to want more than 2, so I find an area that's lower in here. That's not lower. That's not lower. So I'm going to put that in here. This is not an exact science. It is just a way that you're going to. Each of us will do it a little bit different. But I did that over here. This one is I'm going to put 4 on. That only had 3. This one I'm going to do 4. I'm going to put 1 here, and here, and here, and I marked it ahead of time. So when I get there, I will be able to, know where they're going to be, as opposed to, it's hard once you get into the corner to judge where should the next one go. So I found using the markers to make it quite a bit easier. Also, it is a little bit wobbly around the edges. If you do 1 or 2 more full circles without adding any stitches, that'll take care of that. So 1 or 2 more times around. I found 1 works, but if you have done it a little too tight, you might need to go around twice. That will take care of that wobbly edge. That's how I finished the other one. Okay, so let me show you. I'm going to also finish this rug in the next segment to show you how to finish that rug, but I want to show you one more thing. This is my next rug. This is part of what I'm going to be making on my next rug. It's going to incorporate 3 circles, and I'm going to attach those together, so make sure you watch for that. I'm hoping to have that out in the next month. So that will be the next one we're going to be doing. And join me for the second part of Learn the Heirloom Stitch of Vintage Rag Rug Making, and I will finish that rug. So thank you for joining. If you liked it, subscribe, and also hit the like button. I appreciate you viewing. Thank you. Hello, I'm Erin Halvorsen. Thank you for joining me for Rag Rugs by Erin. In this video, this is part 2 of Learn the Heirloom Stitch of Vintage Rag Rug Making, part 2. And we're going to show you how to finish this rug that we were working on. Here's the original rug from part 1, in case you did not see it. So here's what this rug looks like, and I'm just not going to dwell on this very much because it's a little bit different stitch. This is a stitch that I saw in the Appalachian Valley area, and it's an heirloom stitch that I've seen. I think there may be other heirloom stitches, but this is the only one I know at present. So I'm going to show you how to finish this rug. What I want to show you is that if you watch part 1, see how this is smoothed out? I did an extra circle and an extra loop around after I filled in where if you remember in the first video, I had safety pins marking where you should put 2 stitches, and we talked about that in video 1, so refer to that if you'd like to see that. And then I came back around after doing that and made one final row without adding extra stitches to smooth it all out. And then let me show you one more thing, and then we'll get right to it. This rug, if you were watching, is kind of curving up a little bit on the edges. Because this rug, the stitch is kind of on top of almost the stitch before it. That's what makes it so thick and dense. It tends to curve up a little bit. So I found really the only way to use this rug is to flip it over, and if you just smooth it down just a little bit, you lose that curved up area. Okay, of course you need to add your stitches as you go around the corner, or that will really curve up, and there's nothing that can be done about that. But so let's get to this. In this video, we are going to use this Q hook, and this is a little bigger than most of my other videos, which I usually use an O, but I feel like you need this larger hook because this is a looser stitch in order to do well. You need a good pair of scissors like we always talk about. We use these safety pins for stitch markers. You can use fancy stitch markers if you like. I think these are quite nice, just inexpensive in what I have on hand. The last thing that you will need to finish this is a tapestry needle or a yarn needle. You'll see that it has a blunt end. Okay. It also has a large eye or large hole at the top. Okay. They will also make them, they're very inexpensive. You usually buy them in sets of two, and don't buy the plastic one. They tend to fall apart if you're using any severe tugging, and sometimes you do that. So let's go ahead and do one or two of the stitches, this heirloom stitch, and then I'll show you how to finish it. Okay, Mr. Cameraman, let me move this out of your way so you can get right in here so our viewers can see. Okay, so here's my thing. I'm going to do another couple stitches because you see, it's best when finishing a rug when there's a couple rows. And that's one of the reasons why I'm choosing to finish it here. I finally made it back around where there's a couple rows of the same color. If you do it where there's only one row, it makes it harder to finish it, and you'll see why in just a moment. So let's go ahead and do this heirloom stitch. You go in, cross over, pull it off, and pull the back one off. I'm going to do one more, and then I'm going to finish it. Go in, cross over, pull the back one off. Okay, here's how we finish it. You're going to pull this loop through like this. You're going to use your tapestry needle or yarn needle, whichever. It's called both. I've seen it called both. You're going to thread the yarn through it. Give it a little tug, and now you're going to work it through. I don't do it on that very outside. I do it on the next row over. There's other ways to do this, and I kind of go back and forth like this, and then I pull. Get 2 to 3 places through. You're trying to camouflage it. You're trying to lock it in. Okay, so I pulled that through. Let's do it farther to make it more secure. I've had very good luck with finishing my rugs. You just have to do it far enough and not so it doesn't come out during washing. Okay. See how that's being hidden right along there? Unless you're looking for it, you're not going to notice it. So let's do this one more time, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you something else I picked up along the way that makes it even more secure than just going in one direction. If you can only go in one direction, then that's what you're going to have to do. However, I think that this is a better way. If you can come back, I'm going to try to do it from this angle so you can see. Come back through the opposite direction for a little ways, and that'll give it an extra lock. Don't want to pull it too tight at this point because it will cinch it back up, and then you will see. So let's go another little bit. I'm going to do one at a time here because I'm doing it from the opposite side. I would flip this when I was working on it, but I want you to see it from my vantage point, and so I'm not going to do that. Okay, so here you've done it. You've done it up here and down here. The trick to having it slip away, any remnants of it, is you give it an extra little tug, just an extra little bit. You snip it off close, and then tug back. And there you go. You can hardly see where it is. Now you'll notice this rug is not perfect. Remember, this is a handmade rag rug, not a machine made. It's made with your loving hands. for you to give as a gift or to use in your home. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to see how to start this rug, refer to Learn the Heirloom Stitch of Vintage Rag Rug Making Part 1. Thank you. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add a couple rows of single crochet to this rug to help it lay flat. So if you want to see how to do that, we're going to do just like you start the rug. You're going to make a slip knot, cross over, feed the long end through. You can see this, like at the beginning of it. Happens to be a seam right there, which won't hurt. You're going to put your crochet hook in there, the long side in your hand right here, holding the back hook of it. You can either start in the corner if you want somewhere. I'm going to go ahead and start right here. You're going to go into, you can either do it one of two ways. You can either start it by going into both here, or you can just choose to go into the front or the back. So you can decide whichever one, and that may depend on how tight your stitches are. I'm going to attempt to do the whole thing on this one, but we'll see how it works out. I may have to abandon that idea. So you're going to slip your hook in here, and we're basically going to get it attached and do one chain stitch up after we do. This we're going to lay across along the rug and hide it as we go along. Lyle, I need you to be on this side so they can be watching. So you need to lay your tail along here so you can be hiding it. So you put it in there. You're going to grab a hold of your material and pull it. Well, that's not what we meant to do. It really is always good when you see something not go right. Instead of making me feel bad, it actually makes you think, this is the reality of it. Those of you think, I don't ever claim to be all-knowing. I'm just passing along the knowledge that I've learned, and this is how I figured out how to do it. You can do it some other way if you prefer. So you go back in there, you grab a hold of your material, you make sure you pull it through. There you go. And then I did, when I was practicing this, I did one chain stitch up to give it a little bit of height, make it lay a little flatter. Remember, we're going to keep this running along here, your tail, so you're going to hide it, and you're going to go into every stitch. Now you may have to adjust this. You may have to add some extra stitches, and you may not, and you're just going to be doing single crochets all the way around. Again, when you get to your corners, you may have to add a few extra stitches, and you may not, depending on how many stitches you added at the end of your last row. And so we're just doing single crochets all the way around. So I'm going to do a couple more of these, and then I'll come back when I'm a little farther along and let you see a little bit more. Let's see. Because this was really the way you were crocheting, this was the side you were using. I'm actually using it on the back side because that's where it kind of curves up like that. And this way I will help you to be able to lay it and be two-sided, which is what I really like to do. And this is the only rug that I wasn't able to do two-sided because it kind of cupped up and grabbed, and I didn't know any other way to do it. Again, I'm teaching myself these things, so I'm not got it all figured out. But Sally, help me with her last name, Lyle? Behrens is the one who made the suggestion to me. So Sally, thank you so much, Sally Behrens. She's an amazing rug maker. She does some beautiful stuff, and she actually, I think, has Sally's Creations is what she sells hers from, and I think she maybe does some shows and whatnot, but she's an amazing wealth of knowledge, and so she's the one who made the suggestion that I try this, and I think she was spot on with this. So, okay, we'll be back in a second as I'm farther along. Thank you. Okay, so we're back, and I can show you how I skipped a stitch. We've come along the straightaway here just fine, and as we're coming into this corner, if you see how my stitch is like on top of it almost, this is where I would have gone, and you could do a couple more if you wanted like that, but what happens is you're right on top of it, and I'm afraid we're going to have too much of a wave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip that stitch. Instead of going into this stitch right here, I'm going to skip this stitch and go right here. And see how that corrects it a little bit more, and we're not right on top of it. So I will occasionally go ahead and skip a stitch. Okay, I'll bring you back at the next point. Thank you. Okay, so we finished putting the border on, and I only ended up putting one single crochet round on this and not two. So you could put two, but this is the upside down version, and this was the only way that I knew how to display it before, where all the other rugs are reversible, because it cupped a little bit because of the way the stitches, they build on top of each other. But by putting this single crochet around the outside, look at this. Now we can use it for both sides, and this side is actually really, really pretty. So now by adding your single crochet, you can actually, this makes this rug even more versatile. And isn't this a beautiful little rug? The colors are just gorgeous, and I love this watery feel. And I may just put it in my bathroom. I might not sell it or give it away. Okay, thanks for watching.